lost recordings.
Now how did I guess you were going to express your disdain at the crane with the bright fairy lights, and you moan at the snow 'cause your car wouldn't go. Oh, it's cliche to be cynical at Christmas. Do, 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 do.
All the ships come sailing in on Christmas Day, on Christmas Day. I saw 3 ships come sailing in on Christmas Day in the morning. Good job no one's recording this.
Right, so we're here for the Folkbuddies annual Christmas party, second annual Christmas
Second
party.
annual Christmas party.
We've got 2 different mulled drinks this time that we've been doing in the microwave.
Have we? I'm drinking
You're drinking
mulled cider.
a mulled cider, special offer mulled cider, and we've got special offer mulled wine to go later. We've got tangerines and sausage rolls and candy canes and Tim the Roadie,
Yeah.
who is over to the far left of the table,
Yeah.
which is quite far left given this table.
But we're staying off politics.
And we've got travellers returned from faraway festivities because you've come back from York, where you were at a much more bigger and more impressive Christmas event than our Christmas party.
Well, yeah, actually, I did 2 things in York because we went to York. I mean, obviously, I'm only going to York. It's my old alma mater, however you say it. It's where I was a student and where lots of my friends still hang out. So obviously, I was going to visit all my old friends. One of my goddaughters, all sorts of things. Just by a coincidence, it's not my fault. The Black Swan Folk Club happened to have Martin Carthy when I was on the week I chose to go. How about that? So yeah, I heard Martin Carthy. Third time I've heard him this year. They talked about the Black Swan before us, where they held the festival in the summer, spring. It's a tiny little upstairs room. I doubt if it seats 100. In fact, he did. It was the second night. He'd actually done 2 nights there. So it's just a lovely, intimate setting to hear Martin Carthy. And I think because it was his second night, he may have sung some songs he doesn't sing as much. Because I'm not that anyone would have been there 2 nights running, but I think he probably didn't want to do exactly the same set. So he did the Bed Making, if you know that one, which I don't think I've heard him do live, and he did Famous Flower of Serving Men, which I have heard him do before, but he doesn't do it very often because it's incredibly long. And it's one, the Scottish lady who gets burnt at the stake, Bonnie Susie Cleland. Yeah. I sometimes said that I've heard that done by people in a way as to make me feel uncomfortable. Famous Flower of Serving Men has got about 4 stanzas of, and they tied her to the stake, and first her hair burned, and then her skin frazzled. I mean, it's a really unpleasant song. Carthy,
presumably very long if Martin Carthy thinks
oh,
it's a bit
Carthy,
long.
Carthy actually introduced this as it's a song. It's actually a song about revenge. The character's mother kills her brother and the rest of her family, and she escapes and dresses up as a boy in the Famous Flower of Serving Men, and then, years later, a birdie, I think, somehow says that's the person who did all this to you, and they burn her at the stake. But yes, Carthy actually said that it's a song about revenge, and revenge, can be a slow process, can take its time, and this song takes its time. Yeah. Carthy did do that, but he also he did. Did The Blind Harper, which he always say. In fact, I've heard him say 3 songs are his favourites. He often will say Prince Heathen is his favourite, which he didn't do on that night. He will often say The Blind Harper, the one who bets all his life that he'll steal the king's favourite horse, and does a clever trick and does. But he did sing that, which is a great song, and he also sang Bill Norrie, which is the 2 lads in the woods, and the. One of them says, "You've got to take this message to that woman, and she's the first woman who ever loved me." And it doesn't end well at all. It's the one where it ends up with his head being cut off and thrown and passed to the woman, and the woman's husband says, "There now, play with the ball." Great. But yeah, lovely evening. And the Black Swan, I've said this before, when you go to one of their, ticketed, paying to hear someone, you get floor spots as well from people in the club, all of whom were really first rate tonight. We heard that night Phil Carey, I think he's called Phil Kearney, who is the American guy who sings, when he's the House Carpenter tonight, that sings traditional American stuff. The guy's name escapes me, who does Bob Dylan covers. And they just sing 2 songs each. You got 4 songs, and then Garthy came on, so that was a terrific night. But then, you can't get too much Garthy. I can't get too much Garthy. Maybe some people can get. Then on Saturday was the Blackbeard's Tea Party Christmas special.
Friends of the show, Blackbeard.
Friends of the show. But do you know what? I got sort of singled out from the stage.
And asked to leave?
No. He said, no, I know there are people here from all over the country. There's someone from Manchester, there's someone I'm just talking to from Edinburgh, and he said I could see one of our fans there from Bristol. It's nice that people are doing that to hear our little busking band, which was very nice. So they did. It was in the Duchess is a nightclub. Couldn't be more different from being in the Black Swan. You see, it's the wide different kinds of folk that there are, and it was absolutely full. And there were people in pirate costumes, and someone had actually constructed a hat which had a sort of felt figure of a chicken on a raft on the hat, which was rather nice. It was definitely.
It would have felt like Nana if they didn't do that.
Sorry?
It would have felt like Nana if they didn't do chicken on a raft.
But they did a lot of the songs that we know. We had Valiant Turpin, which was wonderfully over the top, and I Can Hew, and all of those. And they tried out a couple of new ones from the there's a forthcoming album.
Oh yeah.
One of them was something shantyish, and I cannot for the life of me remember what it was, but it was good. But they sang "Ye Dig Us All," and not the Russellson song, the "Dig Us All, Stand Up Now."
Yeah.
And Stuart said because he thinks we're all going to have to be doing a lot of standing up for what we believe in next year.
Yeah.
But it was really, and they did a really nice job of it. Not a lot of sign. There were some thoughts going around that maybe their next album would be less rocky, going perhaps back to. But there wasn't much sign of that. It was definitely still a rock. It was still one of their rocky arrangements. They did a sing. It was a single set straight through, but there was sort of there was a clear halfway point. Put it that way. And at the halfway point, they did Fairy Tale of New York. Laura didn't attempt to sing the woman's part. Partly Stuart sang both parts, and partly he just pointed the microphone at the audience. And then they just left the stage and left the audience just singing la 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 for about 5 minutes.
Which of course segues quite neatly into the ostensible theme of today's episode,
which is
that Christmas music is basically the only living remnant of the folk tradition. The tradition. You couldn't see because it's a podcast, but I did quite unpleasant hand motions when I said tradition. Because, what did we agree? We agreed...
You tell me.
I know I wrote it down very concisely in the email and then immediately it left my brain. Because it's living songs that people memorise, that they sing voluntarily in pubs and in homes, that take on almost all Christmas songs take on a life outside of their original version. There's a oral tradition of alternative versions, albeit mainly amongst children and adolescents.
Yes.
Generally involving Batman. Or Georgie Best sometimes. And I've probably made loads of other really good points as well. Yes.
It's not a remnant of the tradition. It's songs that have been folklorised. They've become folk songs. But then there are plenty of people who would say that all folk songs are songs that have been folklorised. That the stuff started out as musicals and broadsheets and so on. But I think that the idea that these are all songs that everybody knows and that people can join in with. I made my worst playlist ever. I'm
Yes,
sorry for
indeed.
anyone who listens to this. That is really going to hurt. But I'm just passing the list to.
We'll listen to. We'll link them to this one, and we'll link them to my Cool Kids Christmas playlist as well.
Of that list of songs, I mean, how many of them would you be able to satisfactorily sing the first verse, for example? Is that?
Ooh, I think I say the first verse, first line or two, maybe. So this is Christmas, probably. So
This is Christmas.
Bing, bing.
Da 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 da. Da 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 cheer.
What? That's good something else.
That wasn't. That was.
So this is. So this is. Sorry. We can. Sorry. So this is Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. So this is Christmas is Mr. Lennon.
Yes.
Yes. I think I was getting Mr. Lennon confused with Noddy Holder, which is something. Which,
Right,
I
was over here doing an unfortunate Yoko Ono impression with my hair.
Wonderful Christmas Time by Paul McCartney.
Best song written for children. It's actually I'll restrain myself because this will come back. I'll come up later, and Tim will have things to say about it. But go on, yeah.
I wish it could be Christmas every day.
That's Slade. Slade are good.
No, it's Wizard.
Wizard? Oh yeah, that was Wizard are good as well. I own multiple Wizard albums.
Here it is, Merry Christmas is Slade.
Slade, that's Slade. Slade are good.
I'm waiting for one of these for someone to say no, I've never heard of these.
We're
But I was
proving the
considering sending this list to my mum, but didn't get around to it.
Oh.
And I think she would have known them all. It'd
That
just
would
be
have been
interesting
good
to
if
hit
we-
one that to hit one. White Christmas,
Yeah, we can do that.
the Christmas song, Chestnuts Roasting on an Open Fire.
Oh yeah.
Jingle Bells,
Yep.
Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Yep. I'm sorry, I really should have at Jingle Bells. I should have just gone no. I don't.
We Wish You a Merry Christmas. When a Child is Born.
Yeah, that's done a lot.
Mary's Boy Child.
Yep. Might get mixed up with When a Child is Born.
No, you wouldn't. They're totally different songs. Mary's
I can mix a lot of stuff
When
up.
a Child is Born is Johnny Mathis being all terribly sentimental, and Mary's Boy Child is Harry Belafonte singing Calypso. Although,
It could if you're a massive racist, I suppose.
and then Fairy Tale of New York is sort of in the space between the ones which everybody knows and some songs I put at the bottom that I thought were actually quite good.
Though I think Fairy Tale New York, I think maybe in the last 2 or 3 years has gone from that's a good Christmas song to that is now so established it's impossible to know whether it's good or not Christmas song. Because I think that's been around now for at least a generation, and I think now, while I quite like Fairy Tale New York, I quite like a lot of traditional ones as well. And I think then that Fairy Tale New York has now fallen into the trad pile.
Shall I tell you the thing that struck me when I actually listened to that playlist? Because I thought it would be a bit unfair to make a playlist. Shall I tell you what I thought listening to it? The recordings are, with the exception of Fairy Tale of New York, the recordings are universally awful. There is something about Christmas that makes people go crazy. You've got bells. Oh my God, bells! Everything's got bells in it. You've got
Indeed, the Carol off bell.
You've got roasting fires. You've got children's choirs. You can't move for children's choir. And the thing is, most of these songs I've not listened to right through. I would have said that the Slade one is actually, as a, it's all 70s, you would say glam rock, but 70s.
Slade's its generation's Fairy Tale New York.
But
it's the raucous Pared Downey one.
Yeah, but I'd forgotten that it's got a children's choir at the end.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a children's choir that are Cockney. They were probably paid a fiver the next week to do Brick in the Wall or something. It's 10 years later, isn't it? But
I don't think they're allowed to do children's choirs in the Black Country.
But
we haven't got the "Can You Stop the Cavalry" song.
Jonah Louis.
Is that what's called?
No, that's the name of the one, isn't it?
Can you stop the cavalry?
It's Stop the Cavalry. So it's Can You Stop the Cavalry?
No, but the lyrics are.
It's not Can You Stop the Cavalry, the lyric either.
I'm going to Google that.
You can't because your phone's switched off because you're a good boy.
No, I switched it on silent.
No, because that's
No,
you switch it off.
No, it has to be off because it'll go.
Because it'll go. It may already have done so. You may have ruined Christmas for everyone, Tim.
Oh, right. It will not be the first one of our podcasts that has had some phones going rat-a-tat-tat on them. We have survived worse catastrophes on this podcast. We've survived attacks by cats. I do know the song. I don't know any of the words and couldn't manage the tune, so I think that counts as a Christmas. Joan was physical. No, that's something else.
That's
Definitely something else.
sounded going to be filthy.
But it's got the line, "Wish I was at home for Christmas."
Wish I was at home for Christmas. Because it's the World War One, or it's implied World War One.
Yeah.
Oh, which we'll come to later.
Yes, I think we'll come to that later. But no, I think that, and even like in some of the cases on the playlist, I was trying to come up with interesting versions or slightly. So, for example, I've got the Weavers. That's probably there's probably Pete Seeger in there singing "We Wish You a Merry Christmas," and it's okay. I think, and this is probably sheer racist bigotry on my part.
I'm really looking forward to it now. Go on.
That there is a certain kind of American accent sentimental that can really make, I don't know if it's just me or it's everyone, can really make me cringe. There are Disney films I find unwatchable. Most of it, well, it didn't really do much good, but they did actually redub the Disney Winnie the Pooh so that Christopher Robin had sounded fake English rather than cute Californian. But there's a way, and there's an element of that on the Weavers. We wish you a Merry Christmas, but it's going quite well. It's okay. They sing the verses, and then we suddenly get them each sort of saying Happy Hanukkah. Because Christmas, because it doesn't matter what you call it. Then it suddenly goes into well, why can't it be Christmas all year round? And I'm sort of, there is something about Christmas that causes excess.
I think we played Hanukkah and Kwanzaa songs last year as well, didn't we? But,
sorry, the
Well, actually, dedicated Kwanzaa songs.
yeah, there's a market. There's songs for it. I think those are good.
Which is also Kwanzaa is
the 8-day
African American
one.
Okay.
So it's basically same as Wicca is like ostensibly open about being a created religion, but created for good reasons.
okay.
It's the same as that. It's
No.
I believe a harvest.
Okay,
festival.
didn't know. And I was trying to remember this. Is there an Islamic Christmas analogue winter? Because I mean, Eid can fall anywhere because it's a lunar calendar.
Well, Eid Mubarak is as far as I remember, is like the big festive holiday, but can obviously, as you say, fall like during the summer or whenever. I don't know whether there's a specific winter festival.
Maybe.
Because all the Muslims I know do Christmas anyway.
Oh yes, did you see? Because
it's Christmas and there's secular Christmas.
Did you see the thing? I mean, let's not talk about taste necessarily. Talk about the sentiment. The thing that the Muslim Council of Britain put out.
No.
Oh, unfortunately, it was using the "Keep Calm and Carry On" poster.
Oh, yeah.
But it was sort of Muslims saying "Don't worry and celebrate Christmas," which I just thought was given that the papers get so full of you can't put up a Christmas tree because the Muslims won't let you. The actual Muslims putting out saying, we're fine, and we're quite big fans of Jesus anyway. So I thought that was rather. So yeah.
I feel like Islam, we're quite big fans of Jesus.
Well, no, they didn't.
Which is theologically true, but still.
I think the actual release from the Muslim Council said you celebrate whichever festival you like, and as Muslims, we also think Jesus was a prophet of Islam, so we're happy to celebrate his birthday. I mean, probably but not keen on some bits of the theology. I shouldn't think very much.
Imagine.
So that was my first comment of just how embarrassing some of these recordings are.
I think because I was thinking about what you were saying about the American thing, and I think it's something that has always made me uncomfortable as well. And I think the problem is it's more the UK's fault than it is America's fault, because I think until very, very recently, the kind of low grade tacky entertainer always affected Mid-Atlantic.
Yeah.
So, you know, the people provoking genuine emotion were always speaking English accents, and the people who were selling tin were always speaking in these cod American accents. So you end up associating, Americans expressing genuine emotion with this.
Oh, just while I'm being incredibly rude about things, I just forgot to mention this. I would have had in my head that Mr. McCartney's Having a Wonderful Christmas Time was an okay song, because I know the tune, simply having, it's okay. I listened to the record. Oh no! I've forgotten all the, how does it go? Oh, the children are singing a song, they've been practising it all.
They're singing all year long.
Oh dear.
Problem is,
And there's a bit where it goes Beatlesy, and I mean, I'm sorry, it's not a discovery.
No.
It's not a discovery that Paul McCartney writes good tunes, but is not sort of much encumbered by taste. But
the problem is with Simply Having a Wonderful Christmas Time is I've over the last few years gone in almost the opposite direction, where I always hated it. It always struck the same false chord. I can't think of another way to put it. But over the last, what would it be, 6-7 years, something like that?
Yeah.
Might be a bit longer. The people who make a cartoon called Venture Brothers have been putting out a Christmas record every year. And it's not put out, it's just put on the internet, it's not put out for profit or anything. And they are the most fantastic things.
you talked last year about the point perfect Bing Crosby and David Bowie.
I mean, that is genuinely my favourite version of the song, because it absolutely gets the emotion across, and it feels warm and lovely. And there's another one where it's the two friends who work together who do Wonderful Christmas Time. And again, it's so note perfect. Two people who are friends, who spend a lot of time together, mucking about, doing essentially an audio Christmas card for another friend. That version, that's it's changed me 180 degrees on Wonderful Christmas Time. It's now associated it with genuine emotion.
I mean, the thing I forgot this, but it begins. The mood is right, the spirit's up, we're here tonight, and that's enough. That's actually rather grim, isn't it? We've got nothing to celebrate, but...
Oh, I don't think that's the way it was intended.
The spirit's up.
The spirit's up, but it's sort of... I don't know.
We're all right.
Yeah, we're all right, I suppose. It's true of a lot of these songs. And okay, there was probably a selection bias going on in that I was leaving out religious ones. But how many of the adult Christmas songs... The only thing to celebrate about Christmas is that it's Christmas. You could actually take the Lennon one and probably the McCartney one and almost cross Christmas out and put something else in. And there's a bit of tinsel and snowmen in Paul McCartney's. There isn't anything in the John Lennon song to say it's about Christmas, except that it keeps saying Christmas. Yeah, which is...
I suspect you end up with a... you were saying about the good songs and the bad songs, or the good songs and the tired songs, really, is probably a bit more charitable. I bet you could almost end up with a kind of... It's a Wonderful Life, Die Hard dichotomy, where you've got the tired ones that are Christmas songs, and you've got the good ones that are songs about something else set at Christmas.
Yes.
Apart from the Half Man Half Biscuit one, which is actually making exactly the point that you said all the tired songs are making, but absolutely pared down to its very basics.
Which is...
Well, it's in the title.
Yeah,
it's cliched to be cynical at Christmas.
Yeah.
It's saying it's be happy because it's Christmas.
Yeah.
But it's literally just saying that.
Yeah.
It's next to the microwave, Tim.
Someone has noticed this beautiful with these beautiful things we have on our recording desk, which are beautiful and empty, and it's going to be
mulled wine.
It's going to be mulled wine. Is mulled wine a universal thing?
It's got to be, innit?
Yeah, and there aren't going to be any of our listeners in abroad saying, "What is this strange mulled wine that these people with posh accents are talking about?"
It's got to be universal, because I bet it's basically a way of making young wine taste less shit.
Yeah.
Because you'd presumably make the wine, I don't know, when the grapes harvested, August. Let's say August.
Okay.
And so it's a way of drinking something that's not been, that's just been in your shed for 3 months.
It's hot.
Hot
wine without putting spices in it wouldn't be. Although,
no.
because we're so learned around here, in Shakespeare, isn't the stuff isn't Falstaff using hot wine a lot of the time. I think he talks about hot wine, and maybe that means peppery wine. Maybe that means mulled wine.
No.
Listeners, if you have any information on the history of putting spice in wine,
then email us at email. Mail MAIL at folkbuddies.co.uk. And actually do email us. We read everything that's said.
We read everything that's said to us.
Technically accurate. But no, I think spiced hot wine was a general winter thing. They were doing really nice, because the mulled cider we just had was shit, but they were doing really nice mulled cider at the Hillgrove Porter stores, but only for a week.
Was this mulled a bottle of mulled wine that you've heated up, or was it a bottle of wine that you've put spices into?
It was a bottle of cheap spice cider that I put more spices and maple syrup into, and apple juice.
I thought it was entirely pleasant. That
You asked that? No, that would have carried more weight if you hadn't asked that question.
And I am not generally a cider drinker, which is a good thing to sing because we're from Wurzel's part of the world, which has just totally reminded me of the other gig I've been to that I haven't talked about. Can we do a cut and let me talk? Or should we...
Can I just say one thing before we do?
Yes.
We actually know someone who grew up in the same village as one of the Wurzels.
Oh, right.
You know Doug? You know Scottish Doug from Pennycook?
Yeah.
One of the Wurzels is from Pennycook.
You mean the Wurzels are not authentically... You mean the Wurzels are not authentically West Country? Oh, no. Because I was really... I'm distressed. Because, yes, I've always thought that, you know, how does it go? Why be that blackbird too? I know where he be. One of Paul McCartney's finest songs. Sorry, speaking of cider, another gig I went to just locally, because last 10 days ago, we managed to arrange on one Thursday in Bristol, in one pub in Bristol, 3 Daft Monkeys. In one pub in Bristol, Mad Dog McCree. And in another pub in Bristol, the one I actually went to, Gaz Brookfield. Which was, you know, I'm going to cleverly bring this round back to what we're talking about. Gaz Brookfield is he's from Bristol. I heard him for the first time actually at Glastonbury. Didn't know who he was. He's quite young. He sings humorous, mostly personal narrative songs about himself, but humorous. He's actually in the I don't know if every town's got one or whether specifically Bristol has got a tradition of, you know, as in oldest swimmer in town, Fred Wedlock. There seems to be that category of the humorous but not entirely humorous.
I don't think 2 in 50 years is necessarily a tradition.
No, there's that other guy we heard. Anyway, no, you're probably right. You're probably right. It's probably not a tradition. He does regard himself as a folkie, interestingly, and the person who opened for him, whose name I couldn't tell you, who, you know, was quite punkish, quite, you know, was also describing himself as a folk singer, which I thought was quite interesting. But no, Gaz Brookfield is excellent. I arrived at this pub. It's a tiny pub, and my first thought was, "Oh my God, I'm the oldest person here," which doesn't often happen at folk gigs.
No, God.
And the second thing was, there's an awful lot of people here who are all crashed up against the bar. That's a shame. I'm not going to be able to hear the singer. But no, everybody was there to hear Gaz Brookfield, and everybody knew the words of all of his songs.
Oh, wow.
It was a lovely, and you know, he has one song that goes, "Oh, the West Country's been good to me," and just everyone was singing along with it. The reason that the drink made me think of it was that he has a fantastic song He has just been diagnosed with diabetes.
Oh.
And he has a song entitled I Can't Drink Cider Anymore. I can't drink cider anymore. Wine is out as well, I think, but whiskey's fine, I'm sure. But it's a great song. He probably deserves some kind of award for a song which rhymes. You'll have to cut down on the sweeties. You've got type 2 diabetes. But also, it clearly is all personal and autobiographical. Not Luke Jackson confessional. Not that, but very. Although actually, he has a song about bullying, which he's against, and although but even that's quite he said he didn't want it to be a depressing song.
Yeah.
It's actually quite a funny song, although it's got bitterness in it. Maybe after a whole evening, there's a slight sameness to the songs. There's quite a lot of songs about I'm a guy with a guitar going on to the next gig. There's quite a bit of that, but incredibly likeable and just incredible connection with the audience. The fact of everybody singing. I
was just thinking that's really what it always rests on, isn't it? Because with comedy song, people, wasn't the best point.
No, but an interesting a point that struck me at that concert. His dad's a clergyman. He mentions this in quite a number of his songs.
You've spoken about him before on here, haven't you?
He's down on religion. No, he's not religious. Doesn't live in it anymore. He has a song about being approached by an evangelist in a pub who's trying to convert him. Very nuanced. Well, this is what I thought was interesting. When I heard him sing at Glastonbury, I thought that's very interesting. Very nuanced song, multiple points of view. There's a line about he used every argument he knows. Some of it made sense, I suppose. But in the pub, everyone's singing the verses. Everyone's singing along. And I'm immediately, I'm not sure on that. No, you said, I'm not sure if that's a fair point, actually. Which, of course, is what you said about Show of Hands, that the difference between the context of which a song's happening can change. I wasn't thinking, oh no, I'm going to walk out. I'm trapped in an anti-religious atmosphere. But it was just interesting that I was not sure about that.
Yeah.
But I guess the connection back to what we were supposed to be talking about is it wouldn't have occurred to me that those were the sorts of songs that could be, I suppose you would say folklorised, that could be, that people would be singing along, heard them a lot of times and are now participating in them as anthems. I would have thought they were too narrative, sort of almost like a bouncier Chris Wood, but in fact they worked at that level as well. So that's interesting.
Yeah. We're now on to the mulled wine, which is much more dangerous to drink than the cider. The cider was about 3%, I think.
Ooh, that's nice.
It's much nicer drink than the cider.
Ooh, that is nice.
We do quite like mulled wine. We look out for the special offers, and we've got a number of bottles. I have throughout my head, really since the start, it's been going through my head of I can't get enough, Martin coffee. Obviously, better sung than that.
I have literally no idea what you're doing.
Because I said I can't get enough Martin coffee.
Right.
So, of course, I was then thinking of that as the Rolling Stones song.
I can't get enough Martin coffee, though I try.
Firstly, the Rolling Songs aren't a band.
It's all corrections, isn't it?
Are there any of those songs on that list that you would positively like?
I like Fairy Tale of New York.
I was going to go in a different direction. I was going to say, what are the... I was actually going to ask if there's any tired, grit your teeth, German language Christmas carols.
Oh, Tannenbaum probably, but I think that one's now getting anglicised as a Christmas tree.
Just the less Nazi ones, which... I'm not saying O Tannenbaum is Nazi.
You just went straight there.
Silent Night, I believe, has been translated into German.
Yeah, Stille Nacht, Heilige Nacht. Yeah.
I thought it was that translated around. That was the joke. Yes.
But aren't the original words of Silent Night a bit unfortunate?
Probably.
I don't know.
I believe it's round John Infant with blonde hair, for example.
But is that is that actually probably is no Germany.
I can't actually remember any sort of Christmas classics
I think-
that are like
That's-
these ones for German.
I was particularly interested if there was any like pop ones.
I don't think so. I think they do. I think they possibly do these ones. They're now standard in Germany as well.
I thought there'd be all these Oompa type.
I can't remember any. I don't know. There you go.
You're a very insular child, though.
Yeah, and I can't.
You'd probably be sulking.
Glass and a half of mulled alcohol.
You're probably no cider. And...
It's weird, I can't remember because I'm sure we watched like all the Christmas stuff at Germany when we were there, but I cannot remember anything that stood out. Not like Dinner for One.
I was going to say, sitting there, dinner for one on, fish in the bath.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's history.
This is now becoming obscure. For the benefit of the ladies and gentlemen who are not up to date on this, tell us about Dinner for One.
Oh, Dinner for One is a German New Year's tradition where the German regional channels will all, just past midnight on for its New Year's Day, will play an old black and white in English language play entitled Dinner for One, the entire plot of which is there's an old woman in her sort of grand house with her butler who has been having exactly the same dinner for the last 20 or 30 years, inviting all her old friends, who have all, one after another, died, and the butler takes over their place and drinks for them and says all the things they normally say throughout the evening, getting progressively more drunk whilst comedically failing to then dish up dinner towards the end. And it's about half hour long, and they play it every year on every regional channel in German New Year.
One year, it was actually the first New Year's Eve before we started coming to a mutual friend of ours for New Year's Eve. I set up the television in our house so that play was looping from one of the computers, so that when Tim flicked through the channels, it would be one of them would have Dinner for One on it.
And just to why would you have fish in the bath?
Because it's the tradition to have fish at Christmas.
Carp.
And carp, specifically carp. And to have it very fresh, the standard thing is that the bathtub gets filled with water and the fish gets bought live and put in the bath so it can be killed and served fresh. Or, alternatively, everyone then bottles out and it gets released into the local river and they have something else instead.
Yes.
Which is more the tradition at this point.
At this point, that's
I'm told that the Germans do not have any word for fluffy.
Which is like, they do have a word for fluffy, it's flauschig, but they don't have a word for self-conscious.
And the English have to use the German word for Schadenfreude, which is significant. And the French don't have a word for entrepreneur.
I'm not sure we have. That's one of those citation needed.
We probably should have said at the beginning of this segment that Tim spent his youth in Germany.
Yeah, I think that would have
otherwise it just seems crazily random. But no, their nearest words are embarrassed or self-confident. There's not actually. So the Germans either never feel self-conscious or never talk about it when they do.
They also. The word for Santa is Mr. Christmas or Christmas Man.
Indeed.
Okay.
That's Weihnachtsmann.
Okay. Because yes.
Oh, and they have, and after Christmas Day, or technically after Christmas Day 1, they have Christmas Day
Day 2. The Christmas thing.
It's Holy Evening, Christmas Day 1, Christmas Day 2. And they open their presents on the evening of Christmas Eve.
I mean, this is obvious because, people who are cynics say, Father Christmas, that is what he's really called, couldn't possibly go to every house in the world on Christmas Eve. But that's obviously why the Germans have their presents on a different day, and the Dutch kids have it about a week before. The Orthodox kids are still kids, I think, both have their presents on Epiphany. And they're on a different calendar, So
they get St. Nicholas Day and Epiphany. So
The Germans have mini Christmas on the 6th of December.
So it's the same St. Nicholas thing, yeah.
Yeah. But
it involves shoes because a lot of the other European ones involve shoes.
Don't remember it ever involving shoes.
A lot of it's presumably where the stocking thing comes from because a lot of the St. Nicholas Day presents things are. The kids putting shoes out and little presents and sweets.
We are told the Saints legend of St. Nicholas involves filling clogs with gold, so some poor girls had a dowry, which somehow managed to become Santa Claus coming down the chimney and giving everyone presents.
It's been quite funny this year because the historical St Nicholas has been like this year's Christmas meme, hasn't it? In the way that Krampus was a couple of years back, where suddenly everyone knew about it, and there's just been loads of heretic punching going on the internet.
Yes. The Pope says that's probably not true. I mean, there's
American, what would he know?
The story associated with St Nicholas is that he's at the historical Nicholas, who is a real person, a bishop of somewhere in Turkey, I think. Yeah. He's at, in 325, the Council of Nicaea, which is where the Nicene Creed, the formal doctrine of the Trinity, gets laid down and everything. And Arius, the inventor of Arianism, who denies the Trinity, this is not brilliant theology, but it'll do, but who denies the Trinity is there, and he makes this argument that if Jesus is the Son of God, he can't actually be God, and St Nicholas stands up and punches him on the nose.
Oh. That's the height of religious debate.
He knew who'd been naughty or nice.
Probably the funniest thing Tim ever said in his life had to do with the Council of Nicaea, but sadly it was so related to the time and place that it happened that it's not worth relating it on this.
Okay. Well, I guess that bit will get cut. See, if we're back on religion, and it's terrible the way people keep trying to bring religion into Christmas, it sort of brings me around to another thing I was going to say, which is to do with listening to the words. And it's like what you said about Fairy Tale of New York, which I think could be argued is not a religious song. Fairy Tale of New York is a good story. It's a good characterisation. It's incredibly grim. People are there, I think, are now singing it without... It's just a tune.
I think you underestimate how maudlin most people are.
Okay.
And how many people are aware that they're not very good husbands, wives, girlfriends or boyfriends, but not able to stop being not very good husbands, wives, girlfriends or boyfriends. So
people are singing along to that, very much aware what it is. It's not just...
It's the Simpsons effect, where people who know they are the Homer Simpson get all maudlin and overwhelmed when Marge doesn't divorce him at the end of the episode.
Right.
I'm like second generation on that. Right.
Well,
I
think you're right.
I mean, it's an honest thing, because it's one of the reasons my dad loves Fairy Tale New York, and it's a mixture of being the kind of maudlin, working class London Irish sort of mindset, and the fact that he's very much in love with my mum, but he's a shitty husband, and he's aware of it.
So your family don't listen to the podcast either?
No, we've said this to my dad's face. He's made his peace with it.
Do you know, I think you're completely right. You're right, but that's totally spoiled the point I was going to make.
That's kind of right.
Right, which was... sorry, carry on. No, carry on.
Do you know, I never really clicked it as a couple, but I don't tend to necessarily listen to the lyrics that much.
Explicitly a couple.
Yeah, there you go. Didn't listen to that bit of the lyrics. Just two people complaining at each other.
These were flatmates who didn't have anywhere better to be.
Because I said you can't really blame anyone for what they say on Twitter. It's just that captures your fleeting moment.
But I think legally you can as well.
Oh, well, yes. But I tweeted from Starbucks on York Station how weird I found it for Hark the Herald Angels Sing, which is a Wesleyan hymn more than a carol, to just be playing in the background. And yeah, just that you would have, if some other kind of very committed song was playing, if someone had actually played The Red Flag, probably, or one of the sectarian IRA songs just in a cafe, people would have said, I think people would have walked out. People would have said, no, put that off. No, that's not real. But because it was Christmas, this, born to raise the sons of earth, born to give them second birth, he's registering as nothing. One of the things which made me think of that was in the aforementioned Martin Carthy gig. One of the people who did Floorspot, who'd just done a brilliantly brilliant cover of Blind Willie McTell, sang a Christmas song that was quite religious. I've seen the guy was a Christian. It was an evangelical type song, but he did it very well. There was shuffling. There was shuffling. There was polite applause. No one, but I could not, which is sort of what you might have expected, because in a folk club you're listening to the words.
Yeah.
So I guess that's a very long way of saying, do people listen to the words of songs which have been folklorised? And the answer is yes, they probably do.
Yeah, I think the thing is with carols as opposed to just Christmas songs, it's not that people aren't listening to the words, it's just they're entirely divorced from religious sensation. Because, I mean, I think there's two things at work, really, because you think of them, you would say specifically saying Wesleyan hymns.
Yes.
Whereas I would never in a million years think of them as Wesleyan hymns. I would just think of them as Christmas carols. I'd find it weird if they started singing Colours a Day in Starbucks, because that in my head is still a hymn. Whereas I think for the great majority,
that's something that's a Catholic Sunday school
hymn.
Yeah.
But I think for the vast majority of people, Christmas carols are just music.
I mean,
whereas something someone's written that's religious and Christmassy implies that that's an expression of their feeling. So is religious music.
That's a good point. I mean, a lot of the things which are played as Christmas music are, you know, I saw two ships come sailing in. It's got Jesus in it and it's got Mary in it, but you're not thinking, ooh, I can see why that's not a religious song. Of course it isn't. Something like We Three Kings probably isn't, because it turns quite theological towards the end. But does that also apply to all these other songs which are talking about building snowmen, riding in sleighs, open fires?
That's why I said carols rather than Christmas music.
Oh yeah.
I don't really know. Sorry, I should say because I don't really know.
What I'm saying was that these completely non-religious songs, these pub songs, which are also, in a lot of ways, they're all doing a picture of Christmas that is completely divorced from anything you've ever done. You sing about building snowmen and roasting chestnuts because that's what's in Christmas songs. And is that also that actually you're singing along, you don't really...
I think most things...
Is someone overthinking? Is someone overthinking this?
No, otherwise we'd have nothing to say. I think you're right. No, I don't think you're right. I don't know why I said that. I was just on automatic pilot. The answer, I think, like with most things, is somewhere between the two, because I don't think people are listening properly to the words. I think there's bound to be a load of Christmas music out there that's got something depressing or wildly anti-Semitic or something in one of the lines that no one registers.
Yeah.
But people are broadly listening to it. Like I said about the Fairy Tale of New York, I think most people aren't properly listening to the words, but they're getting a sense of, I'm sometimes shit, but you still love me. I'm going to go out of a cry and phone my girlfriend at 11 o'clock on a Christmas night. You know, that sort of vibe from it. People who are listening to White Christmas couldn't sing 3 words in a row, but the vibe they're getting from it is snow is quite fun sometimes.
It took me a long time, I may have said this last year, but it took me a long time before I realised what White Christmas was about.
What is it about?
Well, I mean, as in, White Christmas in the olden days, well, it was before global warming, why was Christmas as white in the olden days, not white anymore?
Oh, I'm guessing because he was in California.
Yeah, so it's people in California thinking about New England. It's like all of American songs for about 50 years. It's about not being where you grew up. Which actually improves the song.
Yeah, it does, immeasurably. Not having Bing Crosby doing it. Bing Crosby is one of those ones who it seems to be fashionable to be going, even though he was a terrible person, he was a fantastic craftsman, whereas he actually wasn't doing anything particularly good.
Oh, White Christmas... the record, as I say, I listened to it this afternoon, has a perfectly good minute and a half of singing the song once, and then has to work out what else to do with it. So it introduces a choir, bells, and Bing Crosby whistling. It's terrible. Bing Crosby Crosby as a crooner, and I believe I'm correct in saying he was almost the first person to realise that that a record is no longer a recording of your live act. A record's a thing in itself, and so you could suddenly start whispering into a microphone in a way you couldn't do on the stage. I think, Bing Crosby did the most well-known version of Buddy, Can You Spare a Dime, didn't he? Which is a fine...
I didn't hear that.
I believe Bing Crosby did the most well-known version of Buddy, Can You Spare a Dime, which is a fine song. But the recording of White Christmas, I mean, he was...
I think Bing Crosby might be like musicals. It might be one of those things we have to agree to disagree about.
I probably can't think of another Bing Crosby record, but no,
What's the difference between Bing Crosby and Walt Disney?
I don't know. What is the difference between Bing Crosby and Walt Disney?
Bing sings and Walt Disney.
Say
that again. I don't think that came over. What's the difference between... Sorry.
What's the difference between Bing Crosby and Walt Disney?
I don't know. What is the difference between Bing Crosby and Walt Disney?
Bing sings and Walt Disney.
You see, if you're told that by a Scottish person, it works.
Just imagine that I'm the new master. It's
I was told
fantastic.
it by a Scottish person.
Yeah. Well, there's the, would you like a slice of cake or a meringue? That brings me very neatly to another thing I was going to say.
What was the other thing you were going to say?
Crackers.
Indeed.
Now, they're specifically British.
Is that true? The Germans, of course, the Germans couldn't have crackers because they don't have a sense of humour.
Whoa! He's tipped.
They do have a sense of humour. It's a specific fenced-off area with a sign on the front saying humour.
He fell over. He may have been badly injured.
They do have humour. They just don't have it in everyday life. They have a specific. It's
4-hour segment on the telly on a Saturday night for
it. Basically, that sort of thing. So the humour will be clearly labelled humour, and it will not be mistaken for anything else.
Is a Christmas crackers an American?
No, they don't like them. It's purely an English
British and common, British and expats.
Because they didn't used to be. They went from being a thing to being a Christmas thing, but they never made it outside.
Yeah, I can remember having crackers at birthdays. I don't think you would probably...
Yeah, I thought it was like, 50 years before you were born.
Oh, maybe I made that up.
It's coming back because but that's because of
Halloween crackers. Yeah.
Maybe it's a race memory. Okay.
You might
in a race
have had leftovers.
a thing got into the discourse.
Yes.
I think last year or the year before, about Christmas cracker jokes, of which Bing Sings but Walt Disney would be the highest and most, fantastic level. The average Christmas cracker joke would be, why did Father Christmas only eat 2 mince pies? Because there was no more left. I mean, they're really those laboured puns that aren't funny at all.
Do you remember hearing somebody whose job it was writing Christmas crackers saying the problem is you have no idea who's going to open the cracker and who's going to read it to whom, so it must not be offensive or ununderstandable to anyone, and it's very difficult to do a good joke under those circumstances.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I'd have that going even further of it can't be a good joke, because if it's a good joke, you can ruin it, and you'll feel bad about ruining it. But if it's a bad joke, you read it out and everyone goes, oh dear, we've heard that one before. All the jokes in this cracker were the same. And so that the point of the cracker joke is to be a bit rubbish so that no one feels bad. I just wondered whether me saying every one of these Christmas records that we know every one of, we all know them and we can all sing them, whether there's a deliberate...
I feel bad for saying I don't think so, but I don't think so. I think it's more to do with what Tim was saying. I think you're both accurate about the crackers, but I think the ones that are the core canon of Christmas songs are the ones that didn't have anything. They're the most inoffensive. It's the survival of the limpest sort of thing. Because A Fairy Tale in New York I'll be honest, I've gone off it just because I've heard it so much.
Yeah.
But in isolation, it's a good song.
Yes.
But obviously, you can't really play it to, you know, a 70-year-old maiden aunt.
Except,
Well, you could nowadays because
Well,
she's
you
been born
yeah.
in some 70 years.
Except that's what's strange. Photo of New York is on the same real Starbucks or the supermarket as Mary's Boy Child and...
Well, I bet it's a radio edit.
Yeah, that's probably true. Yeah, where it's Haggard instead of faggot.
Yes.
Is that song, by the way, the only context in which that word can be used?
Not on Tumblr.
Not on Tumblr. No, but,
It goes on Tumblr.
For those at home, Clary Maguire, who's usually the Millie Tant of the podcast, made a face after saying Tumblr.
what just does, people have been calling people bad names.
Well, people are actually not unreasonably calling for it to be changed to Haggard in all versions because it, you know, it's. I suppose it'd be like if one of the lines was "fat git," and people were saying, "Well, couldn't you just change it to your shit?" And then all the people who got a kick in as kids wouldn't go, "Oh," when it was sung. They're not trying to change the tone. They're not trying to remove the teeth. They're just trying to get it changed so it doesn't make them wince if they're drunk. So, as you may have been led to believe by my face, I don't think most people raising it are doing it in good faith. I think most people raising it are doing it because they're teenagers and are giddy on not power, but on a sudden lack of absolute powerlessness.
I'm suppressing the temptation to say, I think there are good arguments on both sides. My one other general comment, and I'll tell you what, I'm not going to say this with a mouthful of mince pie. Much as I like mince pie, so it's not exactly mince pie, it's a mince slice.
It was a Christmas tree shape, I think.
Oh, sorry. I've been eating the mince pie shaped thing, not realising that it's a beautiful...
I didn't make them, so you're fine.
That's like you know, you open your advent calendar, eat the piece of chocolate before you notice that it's shaped like a truck.
I had a tea advent calendar for the second year running. And for the second year running, it wasn't as terrible as last year's, but it wasn't a nice tea calendar.
Behind each door, there's a tea bag.
Well,
And on the 24th of December...
It goes up to 25.
It goes up to 25, we were discussing that. Like the advent calendars go up to 25 now.
That's the first one I've seen that does.
It's political correctness gone.
I don't know. I just grew up in the Catholic upbringing. You get people insisting, no, Advent doesn't start on the 1st of December. It starts 4 Sundays before Christmas Day.
that's not just Catholicism.
Yes. What I was going to say was all the talk about walls of sound and bells and things is perhaps as a counter to the idea that all of this stuff is folk music. That I suspect that some of my revulsion at some of these arrangements and even things which I'm halfway through thinking this is okay. I was on board with the Boney M. Mary's Boy Child. I think that's quite a nice song, and then I'd forgotten that it suddenly turns into something else. It was probably my own fault for downloading the version of A Child Is Born, which was Johnny Mathis and Susan Boyle.
Oh.
Although that at least doesn't have the spoken section.
Oh, good.
Anyway.
Spoken sections, even in songs where they're good and the spoken section is good, make my skin crawl.
I wonder if you're lonesome tonight. I wonder if being a product of the 1970s and that being quite so appalled by some of these arrangements is one of the things that turned me on to proper folk music to begin with, which is often, not always, but often characterised by sparseness, which is often a person with a voice and a guitar or a voice and a fiddle. Often doesn't have lots of arrangement and choirs going, "Where is my heart?"
Although you like opera, don't you?
Yes, you couldn't call opera pared down. No.
It's like, the most produced you can get for a live thing, isn't it?
Yeah. Yes, that was a good point, but it didn't work.
That really should be the title of our podcast, because it's almost all of it is you going, here's a really considered argument, and me going, yeah, but I don't think you get pumas in this country, Andrew.
someone else say something interesting. I've been rabbiting.
Tim.
Yeah. Do you know panthers aren't one animal?
There's loads of them.
Tim,
It's not like one with a moped.
Tim, something like, apart from Fairy Tale of New York, favourite Christmas song of any kind.
Ooh. There's Jethro Tull Solstice Bells. That's going good. That's another standard. Always surprised to see that.
Really?
Yeah.
It's in the name.
Oh, I didn't say, but that was Blackbeard's Tea Party's final encore.
Solstice Bells?
No, they all came on. They all came on in Santa suits, although Stuart had rapidly removed his top and just had braces on, and played. Well, I said it's a Good Christian Men Rejoice, but it's actually Mike Oldfield. It's just wonderfully silly. That's it. No point. Just liking Christmas things.
What's because he doesn't? It's not called Christian Men Rejoice.
He calls it's Jubilate something or other.
Yes. I feel bad now for laughing at the Puma thing. That is image of playing one Puma in moustaches, jumping out of a variety of Aztecs.
So you Jethro Tull, Happy Solstice.
I think it's Solstice Bells.
Solstice Bells.
I think it's slightly solemn as the Christmas songs go, or more than a lot.
Sorry, they're a band that like their bell-heavy production, aren't they?
Yeah.
Lots of because I was thinking about this as well. There's lots of non-Christmas music that ended up as sort of Christmas music because it sounds Christmassy.
Jingle Bells.
Oh yeah, I suppose.
It's about Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
There was some particular place where they had, I think, sleigh races around that. There's nothing about Christmas in it. It's also you wouldn't know this stuff if there wasn't Wikipedia, but it's also, of course, in the original version, quite racy. Because the reason it's jingle bells, oh, what sport it is to ride on a one-horse home sleigh. It's a man and a lady getting 10 minutes away from the chaperone. I mean, they're not doing anything.
That's why Ouija boards were huge.
Because getting 10 minutes away from the chaperone.
Because when Ouija boards were initially about, spiritualism wasn't like it was a wholesome activity.
Yeah.
And Ouija boards, they were needed a small amount of people to sit with their knees touching. So you'd go, we're doing Ouija boards, dead Uncle Fred will be chaperoning us, and then you'd be going, rock my knee, Victorian erection.
That's the tone going downhill.
Actually, if anyone can stand the playlist, you do get to the Bellowhead version of Jingle Bells, which does use all the words. Many of the words.
Cool.
Because a day or two ago, the story I must tell, I went out on the snow, and on my back I fell. A gent was riding by, in a one-horse open sleigh. He laughed as there I sprawling lie, but quickly drove away. And it also runs.
No, she got out quite well for a folk song.
Oh yeah, so this is true.
That's okay. I thought I'd take a ride, and soon Miss Fanny Bright was seated by my side. The horse was lean and lank. Misfortune seemed his lot. He got into a drifty bank.
I like where this is going to end.
He got into a drifty bank, and then we got upsot.
That wasn't the rhyme I expected.
It's not that rude. Sorry, yes. Favourite Christmas song in any context.
Oh gosh, I like Tinsel and Lights.
Tinsel and Lights is by...
I can't remember. It's an American lady. I think it's off the album Tinsel and Lights. It's pretty much the only good song off the album. I like Christmas in Hollis, which is Run DMC not mugging Santa Claus. I like Backdoor Santa, which is sampled on Christmas in Hollis, and it uses Christmas as a metaphor for doing other people's wives up the wrong one. I like it's cliche to be cynical at Christmas. I like Come Emmanuel, the Bell Sebastian version.
Yes. You know they're coming to Bristol?
No, I didn't.
They're coming to Bristol.
Alright, I'll have to sort that out.
Huh?
Be fair, at this point, I should warn you, I do have a 7-hour playlist called Festish.
Good Lord. I really like that depressing Stan Rogers song last year.
Oh God! It took me 2 goes to get through that. That was so
that's
depressing.
Not my favourite. No, I like the sorts of things that a drunk Yorkshireman will sing in close harmony in pubs. I like Shepherds Arise. It's great. that's a Christmas carol, and you can sing it raucously, and it's got good words. There's I don't think Bella had done it, but there's a recording of Kerfuffle doing it when they were all a bit younger. I love that. I do like the Merry Merry Huntsman blows his Merry Merry Horn, which is, the one about coming back 9 months later and putting the baby down and saying they shall change.
I like
which is that great Christmas song.
I never thought that was Christmassy, but I do like
But it's
that.
it's called the Christmas Goose. He's gone to buy the goose at Christmas, and it is a thing that you sing in these pubs which have got all traditional Christmas carols. But then they also sing the mistletoe bough, which is about suffocation, basically.
I think I've heard a different song with the same joke at the centre.
Yeah, there are a couple of them. There's a shanty. There's a version of Blow the Man Down, which has got that story as the words. And I do like Mr. Jake Thackeray's Remember Bethlehem.
Yes,
That's a great song.
I always put that and Country Boy on Christmas list. I think just because I'm atheist, so if it's a hymn I like, it tends to go on a Christmas list.
Yes, Country Boy isn't very Christmassy.
But it's got Jesus in it.
It's got Jesus in it, but it's
not
more
Easter,
it's very
really.
Eastery. But yeah. At the beginning of this podcast, there are a couple of things where you said, we're not going to talk about that yet. We'll talk about that later.
I think mainly it was the Venture Brothers versions of Christmas.
Oh,
songs.
right.
Because I think actually I will tie that in with the thing I was going to say, because two of my favourite Christmas songs are not by any real objective standard good Christmas songs, because they're off the Bob Dylan Christmas album.
Oh, Bob. Oh, Bob. Oh, Bob.
I'm really not looking forward to being your friend when his next album comes out.
Oh, Bob. Mum, I don't know if you're listening to this, but you won't know this yet. Bob Dylan's next album, which is going to be as good as his Christmas album, is an album of Frank Sinatra covers. Oh, Bob. And we'll be defending you. I'll be defending you.
I'm just going to be laughing. Anyway, it's Christmas Island, and I think it's Hunt the Herald Angels thing that he sings in German or French.
No, but he sings "O Come All You Faithful" in
I
Latin.
Come All You Faithful in Latin.
He sings
Yeah.
"Adeste Fidele," yeah.
But in fairness to me, given how he sings it, it's an easy mistake to have no idea what language it is or song.
Yes.
But these two songs I actually really like because they're some of the limited ding.
More about wine.
Some of the limited Christmas music that actually makes me feel Christmassy, because it just is someone who is more concerned with having fun than he is with selling records, really. He knows it's going to sell a certain amount anyway, so he's not worried about getting more for the charity that he was giving the money to. So he's just going, no, I'm going to muck about. The same reason I really love the Venture Brothers versions of songs, because it is the two people. Because this cartoon is almost. It takes like 2 years to do a series, because it's pretty much just two people and half a dozen actors doing this whole cartoon. And I love their versions of Christmas songs because they get that feeling of people who enjoy each other's company, being together and having fun, and that's very, very much the spirit of secular Christmas.
Yes, but no, the thing to say about the Dylan record is it's the thing that comes across right the way through Femtime Radio Hour. Is Dylan likes music of all kinds. The fact that Dylan is a folkie and Dylan met Woody Guthrie and all of this. Dylan loves music. Dylan on that radio show, Dylan played Monster Mash and How Much Is That Doggy in the Window, and said these are really good songs. So the fact that he wanted to make an album of Christmas songs and now wants to make an album of Frank Sinatra songs. Why shouldn't he?
Yeah.
We know what his Frank Sinatra album will be like. Some of them will be interesting, and some of them will be cringeworthy.
It's and he owes us nothing. If it's rubbish, we just won't buy it. I won't.
Sorry, steady on. Sorry, you could say that about any Dylan album since Blood on the Tracks.
Oh, the last one was quite good.
No. Actually, no. Tempest was a major return to form. The two Beatles songs we have on the album are Lennon singing "So This Is Christmas" and McCartney singing "Having a Wonderful Christmas Time." But the commercial world has put the Beatles back in front of us on the television at the moment because we have a Lennon cover promoting.
Oh, that's not. It's not the advert that I thankfully haven't seen. But...
The John Lewis advert about the Penguin.
Oh right, I haven't seen that either.
Is someone covering a late John Lennon?
Ukuleles and shit. Mobile phone folk.
No. It's a slightly saccharine John Lennon song called "Real Love." The recording of him demoing it on a piano. It's not finished. It's clearly not finished, but it's a nice bit of how Lennon was post John Lennon. I don't want to be a pop star. I'm at home. Being a daddy is brilliant, particularly if you've got a lot of people working for you and a mansion to live in and so on.
I've stopped doing terrible things, and it's not long enough since that I'm going to start doing them again.
But anyway, Real Love would have fitted very nicely onto the last Lennon album. It was then one of the two that was overdubbed by the Beatles on the anthology.
Oh, right.
It's now been recorded by some young person who I don't know who they are, and it's been used on the
Least Worst Christmas.
The Least Worst Christmas advert, the John Lewis advert about the little boy and the toy penguin. The link being that it's not. I don't know if it was specifically a Christmas song, but the Paul McCartney song "Pipes of Peace," which is a much better song. I mean, it's a song than Having a Wonderful Christmas Time. It comes across as bad Beatles, to be honest. But had a video going with it involving the soldiers in the trenches playing football with each other, and there's the unfortunate Sainsbury's advert of.
Yeah, for our listeners abroad, a supermarket chain in the UK, which had not previously been one of the more evil ones.
No.
It wasn't one of the best ones, but it wasn't one of the. It was in the middle. Have put out a Christmas advert, which is basically a little playlet about the famous Christmas truce in World War One, in which German and British soldiers didn't shoot each other on Christmas Day and played a bit of football and the shit. And it sort of implies that they did this because of chocolate.
Doesn't even quite do that.
It's just the foulest thing you can. It's like something that you'd watch, a kind of how to get ahead in advertising type film, and think, oh come on, that's a bit on the nose. When the baddie character suggested it as a campaign.
I'm sure there is a novel in which. Using time travel or something, someone is trying to get a corporate logo on the crucifixion, and it really is only 1 degree less awful than that.
The BBC had for their magazine article today something like, "Is it wrong to commercialise the Christmas truce?" Which it's not even answers to which the questions to which the answer is obvious. It's questions to which, yes, clearly, for fuck's sake, what is wrong with you?
The thing is, I think it's a bad little playlet anyway. The fact that he's pointedly looking at a bar of chocolate.
Which they sell in Sainsbury's.
Well, yes, they do. But I mean, soldiers did have bars of chocolate. I mean, I think that's the thing. I don't think the fact that it's promoting the chocolate sales, which are going to a military charity, in fairness. I think it's a bad sentimental version of what we don't know exactly what happened, but it's a bad sentimental version. It's snowing, but it's that fake snow you get on Doctor Who. There's a rainbow. There's a robin on the barbed wire. There are no dead bodies.
No one's covered in shit.
No. Also, I mean, I don't know what we know, and apparently there were loads of truces because it was that kind of war at the beginning. You might.
There was enough that the higher ups bricked themselves following the Christmas one.
Yeah,
and were basically trying to clamp down on stories of it going round and so
I mean,
on.
it wouldn't. The fact of a particular part of the day you put up a white flag and just went and retrieved bodies, or maybe even did swap. But anyway, I'm guessing. The guys who have been trying to kill each other the previous day will be killing each other the next day. Weren't sort of swapping pictures of girlfriends and shaking hands and saying I am called Otto. I expect it was more like it would have been a lot more like a rugby club of Fritz, I'm going to kill you tomorrow.
Yeah.
I don't know, but
I am scared and knackered and
I wouldn't have seen it as a brilliant play about what happened. If you actually look at the Paul McCartney video that it's clearly ripping off. That's less bad. It's also, of course, the thing that they're both singing "Silent Night" is straight out of Oh, what a lovely wall. But someone said on the interwebs that before it had actually become a thing, the first time they saw it was in a cinema, and it was in the advertising people were watching. Is this a trailer for a movie? And then just the Sainsbury's logo comes on, and it just says something like Sainsbury's bringing people together. And he said it did, and it did because the entire audience sort of went, fuck off.
Yeah.
Oh, it really is. It's
dreadful.
It's dreadful because it's a thing that advertising does, and it's the job of advertising that you don't you're trying to set up emotional connections. And the John Lewis one is saying kids love toys, kids love cuddly toys. This is a heartwarming little story about a little boy who got what he wanted for Christmas. When you have those feelings, think of our shop, which is the job of advertising.
Yeah.
But this is sort of saying, when you think of people rejecting war, and so think of us.
This is basically just the only message to be got from this is hello. No one working in advertising at the moment is worried about their nan seeing this. That's the generation we've hit.
Yes.
Everyone in the First World War is dead now.
What if it's chocolate specifically? Because I do remember there was the short-lived campaign run in India with a box of chocolates in the shape of cashmere and the slogan "Too good to share." And you just thought, they did. Apparently, the posters went up and they came down pretty damn quickly.
So your theory is that they send all the people that even people in advertising think are dickheads to the chocolate department.
Might be.
That's.
However,
I can't dismiss that as entirely implausible.
They just go, you're trying to sell chocolate. People like chocolate. You should manage to sell that.
However, we're not going to end our Christmas podcast on us ranting and being. Let's.
So now we need the heart.
Apparently, we've got a worksheet.
I could have been someone. Well, so could anyone.
You took my dreams from me when I first found you. I kept them with my babe.
I put them in my own.
Can't make it all alone.
I build
My dreams around you. Can I, for the record,
boys of the NYPD choir were singing Galway Bay, and the bells are ringing out for Christmas Day. They've got cars big as bars, they've got rivers of gold.
when the wind blows right through you, there's no place for the old.
When they first took my hand on a cold Christmas
You
Eve.
promised me Broadway was waiting for me.
You were handsome,
You were pretty.
Queen of New York City.
The
When they finished playing, they held out for more. Sinatra was swinging,
Something was swinging.
the drugs they were singing. We kissed on a corner and danced to the... Yeah.
For the audience at home, I'm very pointedly refusing to look at the printing clearance.